All right, well, there we have it, guys. Welcome, everybody. Coffee with a Killer. My name is Jordan Payne. If I have not met you, glad to have you. Looks like we got a couple people jumping in live. On this call, which is called Coffee with a Killer, what I try to do is just take 15, 20 minutes and I try to share a little bit about what I've learned as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a trader, real estate investor, and honestly, somebody just pursuing financial freedom and generational wealth. I've learned a lot. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've done a couple things well, and I just want to give back. There's no sales pitch on this. There's nothing like that. It's literally like support the channel. I'd appreciate that. Support the channel, but I want to talk about things that we don't hear a lot about. Sound good? What's up, Michelle? Good to see you. Who else is on? Looks like we got quite a few people jumping in. So the topic today, we've talked a lot about gold and silver lately. We've talked a lot about the markets kind of in free fall, and there's a lot of panic and there's a lot of news. What I want to
Bluetooth
talk about
disconnected.
today is a quote I heard a long time ago. I want to go through it because I think a lot of what I'm saying can fall on deaf ears. And I want to talk about why. So the quote was, "Those that know better do better." Anybody ever heard that quote?
Bluetooth
Let me
connected.
know in the chat. Those that know better do better. And I feel like that quote is not very accurate. We talked about it today. I was working with about 60 people this morning, and we talked about some concepts that most people understand. Number one, you can't work more to get financially free. Like, you can't work more hours. You can't go from working 40 hours a week to working 60 hours a week and expect to get financially free. 401ks are garbage. Like, they don't do anything. A savings account isn't going to get you financially free. In fact, you're not even outpacing inflation. You're losing money every year on a save. Things that people probably know. Do you guys know those? You've heard these before? So the quote of, like, if you know better, you're going to do better, I don't think that's accurate because a lot of people know this stuff. They go like this when I'm talking. Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. I agree. And then they keep on doing what they've been doing, and they don't understand why they don't have a different outcome. So I want to debunk that. I don't believe anymore that those that know better do better. What I think it should be is those that are in enough pain will make a change. If you're in enough pain, you will make a change. Anybody heard the whole, like, you gotta hit rock bottom. Once you hit rock bottom, I think that's true for wealth, and I think it's true for the journey that most people go on. I think you need to hit rock bottom. And that rock bottom, while it might not necessarily be financially, I think there's a pain threshold. If you've been working a job for 20 years and your finances are not different, there should be some level of pain. If you are doing what your mom and your dad did, and your grandparents did, and your great grandparents did, before that, the immigrants in your family did, and you have a realization that, man, I'm just doing what everyone else has been doing and no one else has gotten financially free, that should cause some pain. You're looking at your checking account balance or your savings account balance, which we already talked about. Savings is BS. And there's not pain, you won't change. So why do more people not feel pain? Why isn't this painful? Why aren't we in uproar? Why aren't people protesting in the streets? We'll protest in the streets, heaven forbid somebody gets shot or there's some injustice in the world, and we will go and we'll riot, break windows, flip over cars. But the fact that we have a generation of people that are in financial slavery, we don't even think about it twice. Why is that? Anybody know? Why is that? Could it be that the society we live in is dead set on distraction. Could it be that? Could it be that the society we live in has painted a picture of normalcy and then villainized people that go against normalcy? Could it be that? I don't know what it is about me. And I'll be the first to admit that I'm probably not a normal dude. You ask anybody that knows me. I'm not necessarily like I'm kind of a weirdo. I get that. I own that. But for whatever reason, this whole idea of financial freedom and where we're living and the 1971 stuff, the 1978 stuff, the Rockefeller stuff, the General Education Board stuff, our banking system, I don't know what it is about me, but to my core, it pisses me off. And then it goes a step deeper, and I'm not necessarily proud about this, but it also really frustrates me that other people aren't pissed off. You ever like something ever made you mad, and then you're like explaining it to somebody, and they're not mad, and then you're mad that they're not mad? That's how I feel daily, and it bothers me. I'm not saying it's healthy. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's just how I am. You know, I got two young kids, Cullen and Wesley, and I look at other people that have young kids or just kids in general, and like this parents, like I want to be like, dude, we're 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 building. Think of it this way. Think of it like you're building Legos or you're building with like remember Lincoln Logs back in the day. We need to bring back Lincoln Logs, right? But you're building very pretty prisons. You're building a pretty prison for the ones you love. And you mask it with, we do have a nice car. We've got a nice house. We're doing okay financially where we can go out to dinner once a week or do a date night once a week. We can go on vacation, once a quarter or a couple times a year. We've built this very pretty, very comfortable prison. So think of like a jail cell, but a very comfortable jail cell. Okay, so we've got a couch in there. I don't know if you guys have seen a jail cell. There's like a bed. That's it, and a toilet. But think of it like this. So like you're building this jail cell, and you're putting all the creature. I got a TV in there. I got a microwave in there. I got a king size bed in there. I got my pets in there. All my nicest clothes, my stuff, my phone. You're building this really pretty prison that you're then passing on to the next generation. And it just bugs me, man. I want to scream sometimes. So circling all the way back, like this idea that those that know better do better, I think that's BS. Some of you guys have known this stuff for decades. Why haven't we changed? Why aren't we a little bit PO'd? Now, my podcast last week was about the pendulum swinging too far one direction or the other. If you haven't listened to that, that will bring some context to this. Okay? Like, I'm not saying that I want you guys to live in a world and live your life upset and just in a bad mood. I'm not saying that. I don't want that. I don't want that for you. What I'm saying is like there's gotta be this like yeah, shoe. Put something in your shoe. If you guys are listening to just audio, I took off my shoe. I'm gonna put a key in my shoe. Put my shoe back on. There needs to be this healthy annoyance. Imagine there's a rock in your shoe. Okay? You're not mad about it. You're not breaking windows because you're so upset, but it's annoying. It's there. It's annoying. Every time you take a step. All right, this is annoying me. Like, it's got to be this healthy thing. But guys, if you don't feel any pain, and if this stuff doesn't bother you at all, I don't think you're gonna just do better because you know better. I don't believe that anymore. I haven't believed that in a long time. Okay? So let's debunk that. And then the other thing is, and I'll probably end with this, there's got to be some level of awareness. Like, you guys have got to be at least a little bit aware that everything produced, everything out there, what we look at, social media, what we hear in the news, even the books we read, the shows that we see, the stores, the restaurants, like everything is designed to keep you comfortable and in a very comfortable prison. You need to be aware of that. Like, I don't know, maybe like 14 years ago, 15 years ago, I felt like this veil was kind of lifted off my eyes. And I'm really grateful for it. But I just started seeing stuff for what it was. Like, dude, this is a scam. This is a scam. This is designed to make my life comfortable, not make my life good. There's a difference. Comfortable life and a good life. You can be comfortable in prison. Think about that. Prison, you don't have to make any money. Prison, you don't have to worry about food. You don't have to worry about a roof over your head. Maybe even make some friends. Maybe you don't make some friends too, but you guys get my point. Comfortable prison. Comfortable prison. And until it hurts enough, until there's enough pain, you're not going to change. Most people do not want to be perceived as different. We're tribal by default. Yeah, I mean, like, that started at a very young age. Like, so with school, and if you guys have listened to my other show, the Havila Metals Banking podcast, I highly, highly recommend it. It's on our dashboard. It's two different shows, Coffee with a Killer, this show, and then that one. But if you look at school and like why it was designed and how Rockefeller designed it, like it's just programming to be like everybody else. And you get a denotation, or you get docked if you're not. So I'm fighting a losing battle. Lee B333 said they put us on the wrong path, so we struggle. Too busy to really think of it at times. That's how it was. Yeah. Yeah. I'm fighting a losing battle. I'm fighting for some of you guys. I mean, I'm fighting 10, 20, 30, 40 years of programming. And like in the back of your head, and maybe like in the pit, right there, what this guy is saying is actually true. And it's terrifying. Because what he's suggesting is that I don't have a 401k. And he's suggesting that what little money I do have, I get rid of it, I invest it. And he's suggesting something that, according to the world, is kind of risky. It's uncomfortable, and I'm going to lose some friends, and shit, I got to talk to my wife about this, or my husband about this. I'm going to have to sit down and have a real heart-to-heart conversation with my loved one about making a change, and they're going to be even more terrified than I am. So I know, like, in the pit, I know that what he's saying is right, but I don't like it. I'm fighting a losing battle, trying to take a group of people, anyone that'll listen to me, and I'm trying to get some generational things broken to try to lead people. I kind of feel this is a bad example, and I'm asking for some forgiveness. If you guys are watching live, can I use an analogy that you might not like? Let me know in the chat real quick. I'm going to do it anyways. I'm asking for some forgiveness here. Do you remember God called Moses, and I'm not comparing myself to Moses, but God called Moses to, you know, go to Egypt and try to get these people to get out of slavery. And a lot of them did not want to go. A lot of them did not. They complained. They threw a fit. If you guys read your Bible, you'll know that many of them had to wander for 40 years because they begged him to go back to prison. They begged him to go back to prison. Sometimes I see similarities in a little bit of my calling in that calling. I am not Moses. I'm not saying that God has spoken to me and told me through a burning bush. I've got a bush right here. I'm not saying that this thing right here is lit on fire. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying that he was trying to get a group of people out of captivity and lead them to a promised land, and they complained about it the entire time, and they didn't want to because it was a little bit more convenient to be a slave. We don't have enough food. We don't have enough. Man, we were better off back there. Jordan, I'd be better off with just having my 401k and finishing out the next 15, 20 years of my life working at whatever, working as a whatever it is you do. And you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's just, what do you want? The more I talk to people, the more I realize that most people really don't want the difficult path, and I get it. Like, why would, again, you're not programmed to want that. We're programmed like fight, flight, etc. So circling all the way back, and I know I've circled multiple times, I do not believe that those that know better do better. I don't believe that anymore. What I believe is when, if you feel enough pain, Pain, you feel enough pain, and it hurts enough, you will make a change. And unfortunately, some people have a very high pain tolerance. Guys, I love you to death. Thank you for being here today. If you haven't done so already, make sure you've liked the show, subscribed to it. After this is over, like after I kill the feed, go back to it and maybe just give me a takeaway, one takeaway. Facebook and YouTube, they don't care if people watch live. They care if people comment. This will get the message out to more people. I do this completely for free to try to help somebody. Okay? Much love. I appreciate you guys. We'll be back next week with another episode. See ya.